Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Dave TV on the 6th of September, 2011. 12. So what am I listening to this morning? I'm not listening to WMAL. I've got MSNBC on the cable there. There's Joe, Mika, whatever. The reason is I just cannot stomach listening to WMAL anymore. The station is not only infuriating, it's just bad. The Three Stooges, Brian Wilson, Brian Neiman, who's particularly bad these days, and the horrible, creepy, bunker-infested Chris Plante. You know, here's the deal. A year ago, just about a year ago, WMAL went to FM. So were on 6:30 a.m. for years and years, back when they were a good station. Stayed on 6:30, and the ratings were okay. Then they put on FM. Okay, now the FM signals in Virginia, 105.9. It improves their coverage into Virginia and their night coverage throughout the Washington area, etc., etc. And yet, despite that, in the last year, the ratings have gone down. Okay, one of my radio gurus sent me a chart. Here, let me turn this off because I find it really hard to do these Dave TVs when someone else is talking. Music's okay, but when someone's talking back there, I'm like, ah! But anyhow, somebody sent me a overview report of WMAL in the past year. Okay, looking at their October 2011 numbers through August 2012 numbers. That's the period that they've been on FM. Okay, and you look at them in October of 2011, and we're looking at the 6+ average share, which they tend to do better in. You know, when you bump up to more higher quality demos, they actually do worse. But anyhow, WMAL, let's see, they had a combined AM and FM share of 3.6 in October of last year. Okay, 3.6 share, full week, age 6+, 3.6. Okay, then they went to a 3.2 in November. In December, they were down to a 3.0. For the holiday period, which comes in between December and January, they were a 2.6. Then they bounced back up to a 3.1 for January, a 2.8 for February, a 2.9 for March, a 2.6 for April, a 2.3 for May, a 2.1. A 2.1 in June, and then they're back up to slightly a 2.3, 2.3 in July, 2.5 in August. So okay, so you look at it about a year ago they were a 3.6, and now they're a 2.5. Okay, now that's with improved coverage. That's with better coverage. They've actually gone down, and you know. The other thing that happened when Cumulus took away 105.9 The Edge, the classic rocker, and made it WMAL back in September of last year, was it reduced the amount of the cluster signals to 3. So instead of having 3 stations, classic rocker, WMAL, and WRQX, they went down to 2 signals. Okay, 2 stations on 3 signals. You know, and that's basically taking 1 station away. So, you know, in terms of ad revenue, you know, you're selling 2 stations instead of 3. Well, you can do the 2-station thing if one of the stations is a killer station. It's like WTOP. Hubbard only has 2 stations in the Washington market, WTOP and WFED, that they own. There's that little Mexican station they lease out, but they're easily the top biller in the Washington market because WTOP is such a killer. But WMAL isn't. In fact, WMAL, to have their ratings go down substantially, from a 3.6 to a 2.5 in a year, even with a better signal, is not a good thing. So I'm hearing a lot of rumblings out there right now that WMAL's owner, Cumulus, is thinking seriously about they need to make some big changes at the station. And one of the things is to take the 105.9 signal and flip it off and put it back as its own station again with some other format. So they'll back to 3 stations in the Washington market. Okay? I said a year ago, I said WMAL needed not only to just improve their coverage signal-wise, but they also needed to improve the programming. Okay? They haven't done any of it. Well, they've maybe done a little bit of it in the news department. I said they needed a better news department. They brought on a couple of news people, and, you know, small time, they've done a little better there. But they still need to have a 24/7 news department, not one that farms out the total traffic overnights and weekends. I just said they really need a better morning show. Brian, you know, Brian Wilson again, for all his cred in television and Channel 5 and Fox News, he just doesn't have the chops for a morning radio show. It's just not entertaining. Brian Neiman was good as kind of the counterplay, the middleman between Grandy and Andy back when Fred Grandy and Andy Parks were on WMAL. But as a pillar of the morning show hosts, he just doesn't have it. He sounds like a 30-year-old guy. He sounds like a 60-year-old guy. He's a 30-year-old. I don't know how old Brian is, 30-something, but he sounds like he's 60 on the radio. This old fart, and Brian Wilson, just a big GOP gas bag. Now, as I've said many times before, WMAL, I'm not saying that they shouldn't lean to the right, and righty talk doesn't have a place in the Washington radio dial. I think it does. But I'm saying they need to mix it up more. They need to have a better mix of opinion. They need to have a better morning show. They need to have some women and some blacks and some gays and some Asians and some Hispanics on the station as hosts and not just callers. Women on the station, that are intelligent. They need to get away from this Heritage Foundation press release things. It sounds like they're just you listen to WMA in the morning and then you listen to all the other talk shows during the rest of the day, and they all talk the same thing. They're all getting the marching orders. They need to have their own, the producers that do their own thing. Chris Plante, it's just, I agree. He's kind of funny in an odd sort of way, and he would be as an element on some show, like maybe the morning show, but to do his own show, it's just totally off the cliff. Bizarre nuttiness, day in, day out, his crazy ramblings, it just doesn't work. And I'm surprised that the few advertisers that they have on that show are actually, I hear Verizon advertising on Chris Plante's show. I'm going, does Verizon, do they really listen to this show and all the goofy crap he says? So anyhow, what this tells me, the fact that WMAL adds a second signal and goes down in the ratings, is the station is out of touch. Okay? And like so many radio stations today, they don't change it. Make changes. Flip it around. Okay, they have made one change. I think they did make one change. They got rid of Mary Catherine Ham. And I think in a weird way that was a wrong thing to do. I didn't particularly like Mary Catherine. First off, Mary Catherine Ham needed some coaching in radio. Okay? She needed coaching. You can't just put a political pundit person on the radio and expect them to be any good. Like Brian, they don't always work. They need coaching, voice coaching, and how to fit into a thing, fit into a team. And Mary didn't quite fit in well in those first early months when she was on WMAL. She just didn't quite gel. And that chemistry between old Brian Wilson and young Mary Catherine didn't work. When he was away and it was Brian Neiman and Mary Catherine, it seemed to work a lot better. So they needed to get something right there. But getting rid of Mary wasn't necessarily the right thing to do. It basically just cemented the station as white, male, stodgy. So anyhow, if WMA goes back to AM only, it's only going to hurt their ratings even more. There's a bunch of people that are listening on FM that probably won't go back to AM, so the ratings will go down even more. AM is not the cool band for the young people, and if they want to skew younger and younger on the station with political talk, it's the wrong way to go. So I think Cumulus is kind of between a rock and a hard place. Damned if you do, damned if you don't position to be in, and that's not a good position to be in. They're stuck with this WMAL. It's down in the ratings. First off, I think if I was running Cumulus and I was running WMAL, I would say, try fixing it before you blow it, okay? I think the 105.9 signal was a good idea, but they didn't follow through with the upgrades to WMAL's programming. Better morning show, getting rid of Chris Plante, complete, developed, full-time news department, and most importantly, a live and local afternoon drive show. Sean Hannity in the afternoons just doesn't cut it, okay? Keep Rush, that's fine. Keep your evening talkers. Move Sean Hannity to the evenings. I don't know, but do something. But, you need that. You need the morning drive, afternoon drive, live and local. You need them better balance of opinion, more women, more, as I've said, more whatever, other than white men, just only. You need a better mix. You need a better weekend programming. You know, maybe put some sports on the station. Sign a couple sports teams for the evenings. You know, do something like that. Mix it up. Make it sound more like Washington. I really think Cumulus should do that before ditching the 105.9 signal. The one, you know, Cumulus, it's kind of a Band-Aid approach. So okay, you put WMAL back on 6:30 a.m. only. It's going to hurt their ratings. It's going to, you know, hobble them even more. And then you put something else on 105.9. Well, yeah, you know, okay, you know, disco. I think a really well-done oldies signal format would do well with live and local people, not just something canned like they did with Scott Shannon a couple years ago. That would probably work. Maybe a rhythmic contemporary format might work in this market. Something like, you know, PGC's trying to do. You know, I don't know, you know. I think going back to a really gourmet type rock format would be good, not just the ossified classic rock that 105.9 The Edge had. They were there already. They could have easily tweaked that into that, but they've let the staff go, you know, so who knows what. You know, so, you know, ass backwards, what do you expect from Cumulus? But I don't know. I'm just glad I don't work for them, man. I wouldn't want to be there. I think they're faced with some really tough decisions, and all of them are bad ones. You know, WMAL's a mess. I would say put some money into it and fix it before you ditch the 105.9 signal. But knowing Cumulus, you know, the short-term, cheap approach, which is probably what Cumulus is about, would probably be just get rid of 105.9, put MAL back on 630, and then just put some automated music on 105.9. At least get back to 3 stations and cut your losses and move on. So there, you know. Maybe they could just get rid of all the local programming at WMAL, just go can 24/7. You know, maybe that would do it. cheap and effective for a moribund AM, or what are you going to do? All right, that's my Dave TV for today, the 6th of September, 2012. Live long and prosper!